Hello and welcome to the Geeks Talk Back podcast. I'm Sean. Over there is Chris.
Hello.
You're listening to the Geeks Talk Back podcast. I'm your co-host Sean, and each week Chris and I will put our own nerdy spin on topics ranging from movies to toys to video games, whatever strikes our fancy. If you like us, please subscribe on iTunes and follow us on Twitter at Geeks Talk Back or visit us on geekstalkback.com and be sure to like us on Facebook. You can also find episodes on our YouTube channel, the Geeks Talk Back Podcast. When it comes to podcasts, we know you have choices, and thank you for flying Geeks Talk Back.
By the power of Grayskull,
we're sending you back to the future!
Go! Okay, man, let's turn and burn.
Force is strong in this one.
The plaque for the alternate is down in the ladies' room.
And welcome back to the Geeks Talk Back podcast. This is episode 6, and tonight we're going to be talking about our thoughts, completely spoiler-free, on Star Wars Episode 7. This is now T+2 days.
Yes, 2 days.
And I'm still basking in the afterglow.
Epic!
It was great. Anyway, so in order to remain completely spoiler-free and not slip up and say anything at all, we're going to just give it 3 basic criteria and give it a number ranking, and that's it. The criteria is going to be as it is as a standalone story, and faithfulness to the original saga, and then finally faithfulness to OG Lucas. So, Episode 7, The Force Awakens, as a standalone story, 1 to 10, go Chris.
10.
I would give it a 10, but I'm going to give it a 9, saying no more. I can go on for days. Gonna stop.
Alright.
Refrain. Faithfulness to the original saga.
I'm going to go 9.
I'm going probably a 12 on that one. But no, I'll go with a 10. And then faithfulness to the OG Lucas.
I'm going to go 10.
I'm going 10 too. It felt really good. So, in one word, summarize what you felt about Episode 7.
One word. I already said epic, so giddy like a schoolgirl. I mean, that's a couple words.
I said one word.
Well, I fudged a little bit. Giddy like a schoolgirl.
Okay, I'm going with religious.
Religious is a good one. Alright, that's it. That's all we're saying.
That's it. Moving on.
Moving on.
Anyway, today's podcast is all filler, no killer. And we've been bouncing this back and forth for a couple of weeks now. And we're going to be talking today about building a podcast.
We are. There's a lot of podcasts out there. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube. You can see people's setups. A lot of the guys seem to have done it significantly after they started their podcast. As you guys know, this is only our 3rd actual podcast. And it's a little bit complicated if you don't know what you're doing.
But it came together really quick.
It did. It came together really quick, really easy, and relatively cheap.
And we didn't know what we were doing.
And you have, you've been playing music. You have like 1,700 guitars, all the mix tables and stuff like that you already had. So we've kind of broken it down. Sean is the analog ninja, where he has all the mics set up. And I know why you're smiling, because you thought I was going to say it, but I'm not going to say it on the podcast. I'm the digital ninja. As I said, when we did our first episode, introduced you to us. I do computers. I build computers. I've designed websites and whatnot. And so I had that kind of locked down. I already kind of had an idea what was going on, but even then I was still confused on some things. We're still learning as we're going. Especially with some of the tracking websites as far as, subscribers and stuff like that. I haven't really gotten that figured out. But we figured we would take some time. Sean's going to go over some of the equipment that we're using. Again, it's relatively cheap. I think we came in somewhere around $250 total.
I think we're actually under that. Because I was about, I think because I had some equipment already.
Yeah.
But I think I was right around like 160, and then with your subscriptions and domain names, I think we came in.
Right. I think I probably spent $50 total on hosting the domain name.
So call it 2 1/4.
We'll call it, 2 1/4 just to be safe. So Sean's going to go first and start talking about the analog stuff as far as the mics, the recorder, because we aren't recording on a computer where a lot of guys do. We are actually using a mix board and a hardware recorder that Sean had previous because, like I said, he does play guitar. He plays in, pseudo bands. I guess you're not really part of a band. Well, I guess maybe, but
we'll call it in between bands.
Yeah, he likes to jam with some people, and so he did have some of the gear. But I'll let him talk about that, and then I'll come in on the backside and talk about the digital stuff.
Okay, I guess the best place to start would be I'll go from the mic to the end, and we're using just a lot of guys will use the condenser mics, like you see the podcast actually have video. They've got the high end. Studio Sennheiser mics or whatever. And I've got just the basic, Guitar Shop Special. They're the Nady SP1 microphones, just standard dynamic mics that you'd see on a stage. And just got the eBay Special mic stands for the desk. And then the one thing that I know is a huge difference is you've got to use a pop filter.
Yeah.
It's just a little mesh net that goes over the microphone, because when you get real close to it and talk, it still sounds clear, but you move that out of the way, and it's really, really distorted.
That was a good example. I could hear it through the headphones.
Well, I describe it, or I could do it.
Yeah.
And then just going from the microphones, we're using a Behringer Xenix 1202. It's a 12-channel mixer, and it has 4 mic inputs. We could have gotten away with 2 because it's going to be typically just me and Chris, or Chris and I. And I wanted the ability to expand that if we have somebody else on, what have you. But I think I got the mixer used. I think I got it for about $58 off of eBay. I'm an eBay fiend. I'm on there constantly. And it's a great little mixer. And then running from that, just using the main outs into a Tascam DP004 Porta Studio, and from the audio output from the Porta Studio, it goes into a Pile Pro PHA40 headphone amplifier. Then it goes to our headphones, and the Porta Studio records our podcast onto a WAV file. And then I simply export that, and using Audacity, we'll go through and I'll take out the pops and the fuzz and the static and the coughs and the sniffles and whatever, what have you, and then convert that to an MP3 from there. And then I put into Google Drives, and it goes to Chris, and he does his thing. So as far as the website goes and everything else, that's all foreign to me. So that's all you. Go ahead.
Okay. Once, like Sean said, he does everything on the audio end. We record it, and then he sends it to me. What I do with it is fairly simple. I simply upload it to our website. So the first thing that I'll go over is the domain name. You have to register a domain. It's the address. For us, it's www.geekstalkback.com.
Well, and real quick, we went with doing it ourselves rather than those pre-packaged websites like Podbean.
Correct. And I'm actually going to go over that stuff too, because those may be good fits for you. Because of my, I don't want to say expertise, because I am still learning, but because of my knowledge, we decided I've always done my hosting through GoDaddy.
And we're both cheap.
I know that there are other domain registries out there. I purchased the website through GoDaddy, and I also did the hosting through GoDaddy. That's just me personally. Like Sean was saying, there are places like Podbean. I believe Libsyn, Libsyn is another one that have prepackaged deals for specifically for podcasts. I know Sean had originally signed up with Podbean before I started doing my thing on the website. The problem that I had with the free one from Podbean is that they only gave you 100 megabytes of space. I believe it's per month, or it could be total. But the problem that I found with that is that Sean and I really wanted to do more than one podcast a month. And our podcasts, when we run about an hour and 15 minutes long, we're looking at about a 60 to 70 megabyte file. Which means that with Podbean on the free program, we would basically be looking at one podcast per month, which if you're just starting out and you're not sure if you're going to do it, might be the right way. But Sean and I have this flow, and if we could record some of the conversations we've had over the last 5 years.
I wish we had.
We have, and we'll get to it eventually, but we had an epic Back to the Future talk with diagrams that we'll have to kind of glaze over again at some point. But literally, we had a 2.5, 3 hour conversation.
At least.
With diagrams on Back to the Future in various aspects.
Well, and Terminator and time
and the Terminator
travel,
and time
parallel
travel.
universes.
Yeah, parallel universes and all that crap.
It was out of control.
It was bad, but it was epic.
It was.
So I knew that Sean and I, once we got into this, I've wanted to do a podcast for years on various topics. I just never found anybody that I could flow with on the same level that I was interested in. As far as video games are concerned, or tech or whatever. Plus, I also hate the sound of my voice, but I'm told by Sean and everybody else, just get the hell over it. You sound fine. So that's why we're doing this. And actually, it was Sean that was like, hey, we should fucking do this. And we're here. So...
Well, at first you said no.
Well, I didn't say no, but I dragged my feet.
Yeah, then I started buying stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And then it was like, oh shit, this is actually happening. I don't have a choice. I can't tell my ninja no. Again, there are some prepackaged Podbean, Libsyn. I believe there's another one called Blueberry, is what it, something like that, which we actually use a feature of theirs on our website. But I did go through GoDaddy. There are numerous places that you can host a website. We also registered the domain and did the hosting through GoDaddy. And I got, basically, we have 100 gigabytes of storage and unlimited bandwidth. Because I didn't know, and that's relatively cheap. I want to say it was like, what did I end up saying? It was like $30 or $40 for the year or something like that.
Something like that.
So I think with hosting and registering the domain name, I spent about $50 for, I think we registered the domain. It's ours for 3 years. And it was like $40 or $50 for the year for hosting on a sale. So we have 100 gigabytes of storage space, which even with the website, our website itself is actually fairly simple. I used a standard blog template to do our website. I didn't want to get too technical with it at first because I didn't understand how the feeds worked.
And what blog did you use?
It's a GoDaddy template for through WordPress.
WordPress. Okay.
Yeah, it's a WordPress blog, and they have, like I said, Blueberry. There's a lot of plugins and stuff through GoDaddy and through their web building. And it basically, all I have to do is, once Sean gives me, after I set up the website with our pictures and whatnot and our text, which was actually very simple. It's all through GoDaddy. It's very plug and play. It's a WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get interface, where you basically click and paste and drag stuff. You don't have to even know coding. It's really fast. I think, Sean, you could probably do it if I showed you the ropes.
I don't want to.
You don't want to. I know you do. That's why you're leaving it to me. And then all I do when we, you guys have seen, if you've been to our website, if not, you can go there. Again, it's www.geekstalkback.com. It basically just looks like a standard blog. There's posts that come in every day. Sean posts, I post stuff. We post pictures, and we also post links to our podcasts when they come out. But you can also do that through iTunes. Now, there is a plugin on the back end. It's called Blueberry or something. I think it's Blueberry PowerPress is what I want to say it's what it's called, but I don't know off the top of my head. Where Sean puts the finished file, after he's done his Audacity Ninja work, he puts it in our Google Drive. I'm at my computer at my home, we live 20 minutes away from each other. I download it to my computer. I upload it to our GoDaddy server, and it gives me a link to where that file is. I make a new blog post. I copy and paste that link into that blog post, put a little notes thing, which Sean usually sends me already with the file. It's a little notes for that episode, and I publish it. And through that publishing, there is a little bit of setup work prior to, but you basically, you tell it what your podcast name is, what your email address is. You basically do all that stuff and register your podcast. And when you publish it, it automatically publishes it to your website, and also it publishes it to iTunes at the same time. I have gone on and registered our podcast with a couple of other feeds. FeedBurner's one of them. I mean, you can do a web search for podcast feeds, and there's a number of websites that I have registered with. So if you're using iTunes, if you're using any other Android based podcast listener or any of the third party ones, it'll find it, or it should find it. And it's actually relatively simple. One of the problems I am having that I still haven't gotten figured out is the actual statistics. I've looked at our website statistics, and they don't seem to mesh with the statistics I'm getting from some of the like PodTrack is one, podtrac.com. They're telling us we have 0 downloads ever, which I know is BS because I've downloaded it, each one on my phone. I know my wife has downloaded it. I know you've downloaded it, and we have a handful of friends that have downloaded it.
Right.
Plus, our website is saying that our MP3 files have been downloaded, what I tell you, 69, 70 times since our website became, since our website went live. So, obviously, some people are seeing it. I just wanted to find out how they're seeing it. If they're getting it through iTunes, if they're getting it through this. So, I'm still working on that. Another thing we did is Sean made a Twitter for us, and I made a Facebook page for us. We haven't done Instagram or anything like that. I think we're good with Twitter and Facebook and our website. We do have an email. You can do, podcast@geekstalkback.com.
And our YouTube as well.
And Sean did do a YouTube, Geeks Talk Back. Or you can email through Gmail, which we've used as well, which is geekstalkback@gmail.com. One of the cool things that I set up, because Facebook, I use Facebook on my iPhone. Sean doesn't use Facebook. He's gone dark on Facebook for a while, but it's really hard to transition back and forth on Facebook between on at least on the app between two different accounts. However, Twitter made it really easy. Twitter, you can have your personal Twitter account and any third or secondary accounts you want. So what I've set up is on the back end of the website, if we make a post to Twitter, either Sean or I, on the Geeks Talk Back, it automatically goes to our website. It's already automatically posted on the website, and it's automatically posted to Facebook. So we do one post, and it's automatically sent out. Same thing on our, so when our feed comes out, I post it on the website, and it gets pumped out everywhere else. So that's where we're at with that. Again, I'm still working on some of the statistical stuff, but it's relatively simple. Like I said, if you're just starting out, look at something like Podbean if you're not sure you're going to do it. I know Sean explained all the equipment, and if you wanted to, you could just record right to your computer. The only problem with that is that if you get one error, you just lost your entire show. Right,
and computer crashes.
Yeah.
And most of the websites I went to, people will use Audacity to record their show, but then you get a corrupt file, like you said, and then everything's gone. I only found one guy that actually suggested that you use a digital recorder, and I really had no intention to do anything else, just because I already had the recorder.
Yeah. And again, Sean and I were in a little bit of a unique situation where Sean had, I'd say, 90% of the gear already?
No, I had the 2 mics and I had the recorder.
Okay.
Well, 3 mics.
3 mics, yeah. I thought you had more than that, but...
No.
So basically, what did you purchase that you didn't have?
Okay, I purchased the mic stands,
okay,
the pop filters, the various cables, the mixer itself.
Yeah, the mixing board itself.
And the desk we used, I built from scratch.
Yeah. So the fact that you already had the hardware recorder, we built it around that.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, the Tascam recorder I have, it's a... Pretty much Tascam is, at least in the music world, almost like the industry standard.
Okay.
And the Porta Studio or the Pocket Studio, this is like I want to say it's the latest, but it's probably maybe one generation behind the current
Okay.
industry standard recorder.
But it still works.
It works fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, the only difference is that the new one it's an 8-track instead of 4-track.
Oh, okay.
But
For us, it doesn't matter because we're only using.
we use one track, correct?
Yeah.
And the lineage of the Tascam goes back to the 70s.
Oh, okay. So it's been around a while.
It's been around a long time.
You also had some help too. We should probably give a shout out to Star Joe's?
Ryan over there at Star Joe's. I reached out to him just. He started following, or I started following him, and then I sent him a message and said, "Hey, we're thinking about doing a podcast." And I figured, he'd just blow us off. But no, he went out of his way and actually, I asked like a 1-line question, and he gave a 2-paragraph answer, and he's been more than helpful.
We appreciate that. So shout out to those guys.
Yeah, always check out Star Joe's.
So I think that's about it on as far as getting the podcast going.
Actually, there's one other thing I wanted to hit
go
on. There are tons of videos online about Skype calls or phone interviews. It's called Mix Minus. Basically, they hear everything post mix. Sorry about that. Bump the mic. Talk with my hands. And basically, the Mix Minus is everything post mix minus their voice coming back. So we'll hear and record the person on the phone talking, but the person talking will hear everything but themselves.
Yeah. So that way you're not getting that weird echo, that weird delay.
Yeah.
And freaking out because you're hearing yourself talk.
Which, everyone's had it happen to them, on a cell phone call.
Yep.
You call, also you start hearing yourself, and you stop talking because you hear yourself, and it's just off-putting.
Yeah.
Especially if you hate the sound of your voice.
Like I do.
Right. And I said there are videos that some are like a half hour long on how to step by step how to do this, and it was really confusing at first.
Yeah.
Well, I found a splitter online on eBay, of course, that it's for the iPhone, and it's the one input and the 2 outputs has a mic and a audio splitter, and all you do is run the mic part into any one of your free inputs on your board, and then as long as your mixer has an auxiliary send or an FX send output, then you run that into the headphone input on the splitter, and then on the channel that your mic is on or your iPhone is on, make sure you have auxiliary or the FX knob turned all the way down. That way, all the FX levels for everything else is going out, but the one for that channel is basically muted, and it's actually that simple.
Yeah. Well, and plus Sean, like he was saying, he built this desk specifically where we're podcasting. He's got a little stand for the iPhone. I think we have a picture up. I don't know. I know you sent me a picture. I don't know if we've actually put it up on the website.
I think you did.
But he's got the cables routed. It's very professional looking.
Well, thank you.
Considering this is the third podcast we're doing. So. But anything else to add about the podcast stuff?
No, I just hope that the Skype part wasn't that confusing.
Yeah. And we have tested it, and it sounds good. Mm-hmm. No issues there. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email. Like I said, I can help out with the digital end of stuff as far as the website, the hosting, crap like that. Sean has more of the the analog stuff. But we'll be more than happy to pass it on, just like Ryan at Star Joe's did for us.
Yeah, and to say we're far from experts.
Yes,
but we'll tell you how we did it.
Exactly.
And so far, it's working for us.
Yep.
Whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, for us it works. So yeah, reach out. We have no problem helping you guys out.
We like the audio quality. I think it sounds good when we listen to it once it's posted to iTunes and whatnot. So if you guys have any questions, let us know and we'll help the best we can.
Yeah, and I think the main thing, if you guys are going to do this, actually, something that Ryan had said as well, was make sure you have fun doing it.
Exactly.
Because he said if you're not having fun, it's going to come across.
Yep. And we like to bullshit with each other, so.
Yeah, and obviously you love talking.
I love talking, even though I hate my own voice. All right, so the final thing we're going to do today, again, this is going to be a filler, no killer, as Sean put it. It's kind of going to be a short show, I think, but I always say that, and it ends up going an hour and a half. But it is the week before Christmas. We're post episode 7, and we wanted to talk about the FAA regulations for drones. I don't have any yet. I'm still trying to convince the wife that I need a Phantom, but I've messed around with some little, really, really small ones, the miniature ones, but I end up crashing them and throwing them away after 15 minutes. I know Sean has at least one, if not multiple.
Well, I've got one, and I have one nano one.
Yeah, but we wanted to kind of go over some of the points. We're gonna use the FAQs on the what they're referring to as the UAS registration, which is in the definition of a UAS is an unmanned aircraft system. So, Sean, what are your general thoughts about the registration of drones?
Well, I think this is one of those things that came about mainly because of the one or two people that ruined it for everybody else.
Absolutely.
Because I think this is coming in light of the California fire season. They had the drones out there. Or it was Yellowstone,
Yeah.
where they had the drones in the flight path of the firefighting aircraft, and they had to veer off actually and not fight the fire to avoid hitting the drone.
Correct.
And then there's that one in, I think it was L.A. or it was somewhere in California again. That Chinese exchange student
Correct.
that almost clipped that police helicopter.
Correct. There was also one that crashed into the grounds of the White House.
That's true. Yeah,
There
too.
was one which I don't know. It doesn't sound like that was malicious, but it sounded like they crashed, and
Right.
it happened to crash over the fence
Sure, but
on the White
again,
House grounds.
even if it wasn't on purpose,
Correct.
it's still negligent.
Yeah, correct.
And with negligence comes laws, just like everything else, because they need to protect us from ourselves and everyone else. And I see the reason behind it, but then some of the requirements, anything over 0.55 pounds, which they equated to the weight of 2 sticks of butter.
Yeah,
Which, I mean, I have one small one, and I'm sure it weighs over that.
yeah,
And you can be registering, and really all it was is that you sign up with the FAA, you basically put your name, address, all that stuff on there, and they give you a number. That number goes on all your aircraft or drones. And they said it for the first year it's free, and then for the next 3 years it's $5.
So it's not way out of bounds.
It's not way out of bounds, no. But then I understand what people are saying. Now, it said that the hobby industry is saying that that's gonna, kill their sales and that and everything else. But for 99.9% of the people that will be flying the drones, if they had to spend $5 every 3 years and it keeps them legal, it's not gonna be that big of a deal. I mean, if $5 is $5,
Yeah.
that's one trip to Starbucks.
Yeah, for 3 years.
Yeah, so if you not go once for 3 years, it's
Yeah.
paid for. But then you got the people who, won't do it anyway. So in all reality, the registration database, all it's going to do is keep honest people honest.
And that's the problem with 99.9% of the laws that we have, is that they only apply to honest people.
Right.
And you could argue any number of registrations, licenses, stuff like that. It just, so some people are going to do it because they want to be safe and they want to be legal, and then other people are like, I don't give a shit.
Right. But
So-
but looking at a positive aspect of it, let's say you've got a drone and it runs away.
Mhm.
It doesn't have the return to home feature, or it malfunctions and crashes somewhere. If it is registered, it's possible to actually get that back to you.
That is true, and that is a very good point. If something does happen, you lose it, and you think it's gone, and then if somebody shows up because they had the wherewithal to go look at the registration number and say, "Hey, is this yours?"
Right.
And that is a good thing. My problem with it is I think 0.55 pounds is a little bit light.
I agree with that too.
And another issue that I have is that model aircraft have been around for years.
Right.
20, 30 years, 40 years. They've never required anybody who flies a model aircraft or glider, and we're talking RC, not actual gliders, but they've never required them to register.
Yeah, well, I think this is a situation where technology exceeded the scope of, or the reach of the law.
And I can see that. But here's my problem: is that some of those aircraft are huge.
Yeah. Well,
There's-
there is a weight limit though.
Okay, see, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, like some of the like the turbine powered jets. There is a special license you got to have for those.
Okay, I was not aware of that. I was getting so.
But right, but the typical park flyers, or I guess anything that's on the same size or weight level as even the Phantom, didn't require a license.
Okay.
But I think 50 pounds is the. I could be way off, but I think I remember seeing.
Well, because the FAQs specify anything between. Let me find it real quick here. This is great radio. I think it's okay. So it's on the FAQs. It says which unmanned aircraft may register under the new registration requirements. It says unmanned aircraft weighing less than 55 pounds and more than 0.55 pounds.
Okay, so it's 55 pounds is the weight.
On takeoff, including everything that is on board or otherwise attached to the aircraft and operated outdoors in the National Airspace System, must register.
Okay.
So basically what this is saying, the way I read this is that now, if you're flying an RC helicopter, or not even helicopter, an RC plane, you have to register as well.
Right.
So basically all the errors and issues with the drones are now being lumped in with RC planes that haven't had to register since their inception.
Yeah, I think it was just a catch-all.
Okay.
Because I think by standard definition, a drone has to be autonomous.
But none of the drones that we have,
right? So,
save like the DJI Phantom, I think have, unless there are some other ones that I'm not aware of.
Well, it's either autonomous or the ability to input a pre-programmed flight plan or follow its own flight plan.
Okay.
Basically, anything outside direct control of a human being. Where a typical RC plane, if you let go of the sticks, it's going to crash.
Correct.
Whereas you can actually program the drones to go, okay, I want to go these coordinates, hover at 200 feet, and then come back completely hands-free. I think that's typically what they call the drones. But they're saying that, well, that's not a drone, it's a quadcopter. Well, it's not a quadcopter, it's a hexacopter.
Yeah.
Or it's an octocopter. Octocopter. So they have, I think they just call it aircraft just to have the whole possibility of a loophole taken out.
Okay.
Well, and then it's also, when you register with the FAA, all you do, you register and you get one number. So it's not like you have to go through and get, have like 50 different numbers for each time you have an aircraft. You get rid of it, you delete it, you get a new one, you add to it.
No, it's not like that.
No, it is like that. So it's not like every single time you get one, you have to re-register another one. You use the same number.
Okay, so basically you're registering yourself as a UAS pilot.
Yes.
And they're giving you a pilot number.
And that number goes on all your aircraft.
And you put that pilot number on all your aircraft. So you're not registering each individual aircraft that you fly.
No, the way I understand it.
Okay.
The way I read is that you're given a number, and that number goes on all your aircraft.
Okay. See, and that's confusing because some of the stuff refer to it as registering aircraft. So.
Well, I think when you go online, as you get a new, say you get a new Phantom, I think you go on there and basically add it to the list, maybe.
Okay. Now, have they said anything? Because this is basically on the individual hobbyists. I'm not calling them pilots. I'm calling them hobbyists.
Right.
So now, if I go to Hobby World, some generic, mom and pop hobby store, or even somewhere like, say, Toys R Us or Walmart, and they happen to have a drone or UAS or quadcopter, whatever the hell you want to call it, on the shelf, are they going to now require me to register at the store prior to me going home?
No, it is on you to do it yourself.
So it is on you, okay.
Because they said that it poses criminal penalties for not doing it.
Okay. Speaking of criminal penalties, I want to go over this because to me this is retarded. Okay. Question 3 in the FAQ on the FAA website regarding to UAS registration.
Okay.
What is the penalty for failing to register?
Was it trivia?
No. This is I'm going to give you the answer, and I want
to discuss.
Was it
3 years in prison or a $27,000 fine?
It says failure to register an aircraft. See, it says register an aircraft, not a pilot.
Well, no, but I think it's all under one number.
Okay.
You just go on and say, "Oh, I now have the DJI Phantom 3."
Okay. The FAA may assess civil penalties up to $27,500. Criminal penalties include fines of up to $250,000 and or imprisonment for up to 3 years.
Right.
Okay, that's stupid.
I'll tell you what. You fly a drone, don't register it. I'll kill someone, and we'll see who gets out of prison first.
Exactly. I mean, those type of penalties aren't even applying for people who don't license themselves to drive a car.
Right.
That's like, I mean, you're talking felony level charges for simple. Now, my question is this: say you do register, you are registered on the FAA website, and you get your little I'm a certified whatever pilot. Well, I don't. It doesn't even sound like there is any certification.
Not certified, no.
But you are licensed, and you just didn't put your number on that drone. You got a brand new. Your girlfriend is a rock star, and she bought you a DJI Phantom 3 Super Duper, whatever. I don't know what they're up to now. And you're up flying it, and it falls down, and you forgot to put the number on it Christmas morning. They're going to charge you.
I think the fact that it is registered, because that'd be the same thing as if you were driving your car and the plates fell off.
Okay.
I mean, it is registered.
Yeah.
It just didn't have, it wasn't readily available. But the main question I have in this whole thing is, who's going to enforce it?
That's a good question.
I mean, are they going to see some guy with a control in his hand and they're going to stop him and have him land his aircraft to see if they're registered or not?
Yeah, but again, it's like a lot of these laws, because it's been probably 20 years for me personally, but I was looking into private pilot's license.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff is regulated by the individual airports for the most part. You go to some of the smaller airports, they're going to say, hey, do you have a pilot's license? Or especially if you're renting them, or if you like land your plane at an airport, they come out and they check you out.
Okay.
But there is no, there's not an FAA cop, so to speak, at each airport. If you fly into an airport and you don't have all your paperwork together, they report you, and then you might get a call 3 weeks later for some dude claiming to be an FAA investigator. Mm-hmm. Now, I know they have investigators when it comes to crashes and whatnot, but as far as and the problem is that most of that stuff is on your word, and the pilots are pretty good about policing themselves. The airports are pretty good about policing the individual pilots when they fly into their airports.
Well, and I think for the most part, the hobbyists are pretty good at policing themselves as well.
But the problem that I have is that because we're talking a significant amount of money for an actual pilot's license, mm-hmm. and B, an actual aircraft. Right. Any Joe Schmo with $150 can go to Target and pick up a Millennium Falcon, reference back to Star Wars, a Millennium Falcon quadcopter, and I'm pretty sure that thing weighs over half a pound.
Oh, it's foam. I don't know.
Oh, is it foam?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, so they can go pick up one at Target that weighs more than half a pound.
Right.
Go out into the Target parking lot, shoot it up into the air, and take out a police or a rescue helicopter. So, I think the problem that we're having is that the entry to... I totally lost where I was going with this whole thing. The cost of entry for drones and RC cars or RC planes have come way down.
Oh, sure.
So
and I think that's why the huge influx of them.
Yeah, and you're having more and more people that are screwing stuff up. But my question again, like you, who's going to enforce this? And is it going to be like the record label stuff with the MPAA and all that, where you hear every couple of years you hear about somebody who was sued by some record label because they pirated, a Taylor Swift song 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. But you don't hear, because be it on the internet, there are literally millions of people who pirate music or software or movies. But you only hear about one every so often. So I wonder if that's going to be the same thing, where 99% of the people who aren't registering don't ever get caught, or they don't ever do anything.
Right.
Basically, the problem that I have is this whole thing sounds like there is a problem, and this is a rushed let's feel good about what we're doing.
Yeah, I would say
This
it's a
is
feel-good measure.
A feel-good measure, which really isn't going to do anything.
Well, it's just like whenever anything happens, like there's a school shooting, all of a sudden they come out and try to get new laws for gun control.
Yeah.
It's something has to be done, so they do something, and that one something is very rarely the right thing to do or the efficient thing to do.
Yeah. Okay. There's another thing. It says, "Do children's toys need to be registered?" Is one of the FAQ questions. Now,
well, I think the weight limit is the key.
But according to this, not if they weigh below 250 grams, otherwise 5.5 pounds,
0.55
or less. Most toys, in quote, the FAA has identified at a purchase price of $100 or less, have been determined to weigh less than 250 grams.
Okay, well, there's one I was looking at before. It was one I sent you the links
Like
to.
the $50, $60 one?
Yeah, that's $60 from China. And what's the thing, too, is that everything from China is dirt cheap.
Yeah.
And what does a GoPro weigh?
I was going to say, that GoPro has to be close to half a pound by itself.
By itself. So you take the 0.34 pound drone,
throw a half pound GoPro.
Yeah, so right there, add the camera to it, and now you're over.
See, and then it says, "Where do I register my unmanned aircraft weighing 55 pounds or more?" You cannot register those online. They have to go through the old school. See, because I know some of the things that were previous is that it was illegal to do any type of commercial work with drones.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're saying there is no definition, or there is no differentiation between business versus a person. Because I know there are some guys that were like doing it for like large scale real estate companies.
Right.
They would take a drone, video the house, and use that as part of their selling features. Okay, what about tethered? It says both tethered and untethered UASs must be registered. Have you ever seen a tethered drone?
No.
Okay. If I'm just flying for fun in my yard, do I have to register? The answer is yes, if the UAS weight is within the stated weights.
So it's not like the weight is
basically, they're going by, it doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing with it. If it's above 0.55 pounds, up to 55 pounds, you have to register.
Yeah, and it says other regulations. I didn't see anything about it, but they mentioned like be within 5 miles of an airport or something like that. See,
now I don't know about some of the smaller ones, but I know some of the more expensive, nicer ones like the DJI Phantoms. DJI. I always want to say DJI. But the Phantom brands, they have, I believe, built into their guidance system that it will not let you fly within an X radius of an airport that it registers. So
I live less than a mile from an airport. So.
Yeah.
Well, but so the one I have, it only has a range of like 150 feet.
Yeah. Question 16 on the FAQs. If I only fly it indoors, no, you don't have to register if you're only flying it indoors.
Although you're flying a 1 pound drone inside,
you're gonna mess some shit up.
You knock over lamps and stuff.
Yeah. Do homemade drone needs to be registered? Yes. So even if you build it from scratch up, you still have to do it. It says the question is question 18. Will the requirement apply to UASs that I own and operated before the registration? Yes. Yep. Who must continue to register unmanned aircraft using the current paper-based system? Again, it's saying the weight, 55 pounds or more.
0.55.
No, if you're 0.55 to 55 pounds,
255, okay.
You can register it online. Over 55 pounds, you have to use the old paper-based system. Minimum age requirement, you only have to register if you're 13 years or older.
Right, if you're under 13, you
don't have to.
You can fly under a parent's.
Okay. Only United States citizen can register their small UASs.
Yeah, I saw that too. Which was interesting because the person that had the deal with that police helicopter was a Chinese exchange student.
Was a Chinese exchange student, so it wouldn't have made a difference.
I don't know why they put that in there.
What happens if I sell my drone? You should log on to the registration website and update your registration information. We also strongly encourage you to remove your registration number from the drone before you transfer it.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's simple enough.
It does. It's, there's not a lot. Basically, if it's a 55 or 0.55 pound to 55 pound drone, you have to register it with the FAA. And you can do it online if you're above 13 years old and a U.S. citizen. So
I mean, I might have more issue with this if it was a situation where you need to go through a certified training program and everything else.
Why isn't that next?
Well, it might be next, and if it is, then I'll take issue with it then. But as it stands right now, I don't have that big of a heartache over it.
Okay, and here's what you're saying. Question 30. If I own multiple drones, do I have to register them all? The question is no, or the answer is no. You may register once and apply the same registration number to all of your UASs. So basically, you are registering as the operator.
Correct.
And you just put that same. So that's
Yeah,
okay.
You put that number on there.
Federal law requires owners to pay $5 to register their aircraft. However, registration is free for the first 30 days to encourage speedy registration. During the first 30 days, you must pay $5 with a credit card, and a $5 credit will appear shortly after.
Oh, what I read was that the first year was free.
That's, okay.
Well, again, you read from the FAA website?
I'm reading from FAA.gov.
Okay. I read an article, so it's possible the author got the facts wrong.
Gotcha.
But still, $5 is $5.
So apparently they're giving you between UASs operated by their current owner prior to December 21st must be registered no later than February 19th of 2016. So they're only given a period of 2 months from December 21st, which is tomorrow? What's today?
19th?
Today's the 19th. So Monday is the 21st. So they're given starting Monday until February 19th. So basically, you have 2 months to register your UASs.
Mm-hmm.
How do I prove I am registered? They're going to send you a certificate of registration that you're going to have on you when you're operating them. So kind of like a driver's license.
Oh, fair enough.
Oh, wait, no, it says, do I have to have the printout of my certificate with me? No, if you are asked to show your certificate of registration, you can show it electronically. You do not have to print it. So as long as you have the email
Mm-hmm.
or something that shows it.
Like we'd already touched on, bottom line is, all it's going to do is keep the honest people honest.
Yeah.
Because if they weren't able to follow that drone home, they have no clue where that drone came from. And even under these laws, that one wouldn't be registered anyway.
No. But then, okay, so here's the weird thing, because the way it sounds is that you're requiring the pilot to register.
Right.
So, question 39 in the FAQ. If I let someone borrow my drone,
That's a good question.
do I have to give them the certificate of registration? And the answer is yes. Anyone who operates your drone must have the certificate of aircraft registration in their possession. So, which that doesn't make sense to me. So if I borrow your drone,
Mm-hmm.
I have all you have to do is give me a copy of your registration.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be able, especially if it does come to a point where you have to be certified to fly these, that basically, oh, my buddy here, it's his drone, and I just took out a police helicopter. So does that mean the liability falls on you?
I don't know.
So that would be the
Or a
question.
situation where, oh no, this is not mine. I borrowed from a friend.
Yeah. It sounds like they're still keeping the 400-foot level,
Mm-hmm.
flight level, which isn't unrealistic. And I mean, 400 feet.
Well, if you can't see it, you shouldn't be flying it.
No, you shouldn't. I mean, I don't see any from it. I'd be curious if they actually, if they've regulated RC planes as well
I'm not
to
sure.
400 feet.
I'm not sure.
It's just, so there's a lot on the FAQs. I mean, I'm down to like question 53. If a drone crashes in my yard, who do I call? I call local law enforcement. Like, they're going to have any clue, okay, so your drone crashed. Who the fuck cares? I mean...
Well, unless there's damage, maybe? I don't know.
I mean, yeah, but even then, are the cops going to have access to the FAA database?
I don't know, but are they going to call the FAA, like send somebody out and investigate the drone crash?
That'd be a good question. They do for plane crashes, and they're kind of... I don't know, they're almost getting them on the same level.
I don't know. Well, maybe we can get one registered, crash it, and call. See what happens.
Say, hey, this just came and crashed.
Just call it like a social experiment. See what happens.
See what happens. So yeah, there's a lot of questions on there. I don't know that that's the answer though. It's
Well, I don't know if it's the answer or not, but in response to it, I don't see that being that big of a deal.
No, you're right.
And like I said, let's say it is registered. It does crash. You call the cops. They come over. They're able to call the FAA to give them that number, because I don't know if just Joe Schmo or you and I call, hey, this thing crashed in my yard's number on it. Can you tell me who it belongs to? They're probably not going to do that, but they might be more willing to give it to law enforcement.
Yeah.
So I crashed my drone in your yard. You call the police. They come out. They get the number. They call the FAA.
Mm-hmm.
They're able to find out who it belongs to.
Yeah. And again, I think the concept and the motive is good.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously a lot of people have been doing stupid shit with these things.
Right.
You know, like the trying to, or either intentionally or not intentionally crashing it into a police helicopter. The ones in the Yosemite fire or wherever it was in California, where they're basically trying to get footage of the fire, and they're in the direct path
Right.
of the firefighting aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
They basically caused more damage.
Sure.
They're being stupid. But I'd be curious to see where this goes and how far they take it and what the backlash is going to be.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see.
So I think that's about it.
Yeah, that about covers that one. Okay, this was our all filler no killer podcast. We just wanted to get one more in before Christmas.
That's right.
So everyone out there, if you're listening, have a Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Life Day if you live on Kashyyyk.
Okay, you went weird with it.
Yeah,
Happy Hanukkah.
Yeah. All right, everyone have a happy and safe holiday, and we'll see you after the 1st. I'm Sean.
I'm Chris.
We're signing off.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads. My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
The Force will be with you.